All right. Good morning. Happy Monday to everybody. Thanks for those who are here this Monday. I've committed to doing these calls every Monday, at least through the month of April for right now, because just based on people saying that what they get out of it when they can be on the call, whether it's just camaraderie at hanging out at the water cooler virtually, or you have an idea to contribute, or you have a challenge you want to bring. I'm going to keep these calls going every Monday because I feel like with each call, there's been a lot of really great value. At least that's been the feedback. So why don't we kind of get started, go around the room. I don't see you guys like the Brady Bunch today. I see you all in a line. So I'll just kind of go through my line. I give a quick start off to what I'm experiencing. I don't know if anybody wants to talk about it today. Just the process and the confusion of all the different loans. The good news is I don't know if I'm going to get anything I've applied for. However, I now have all my stuff together to apply for women-owned certification because all the documentation needed for that is now together. So that's my positive if no funding comes through. Still in the same scenario of no cash flow and nobody spending money, but I'm in the process of creating some online opportunities and training and coaching and facilitating. So that's what I'm working on. I was also going to throw an idea out there. I'm willing to throw out, like, I talked about this maybe last week about bartering for stuff, which most people know I'm not big into that. But when you're only, the only currency right now for some of us is trading out, that might be a way to keep businesses running. So I was thinking of putting up a list on the Facebook page of what I have to trade out. And if anybody else wants to trade stuff out just to help their businesses operate, that might be something to think about. So I'm going to go through the list of who's here on the call. I'm going to start with John Cassidy. Thank you, John, for being consistently always here. I feel like you and I are like partners in crime. So what's going on in your world?
Well, we're, our business is kind of slowed down dramatically. The phones aren't ringing, very minimal type of work coming in. We're doing stuff for some of the financial institutions, some of the medical centers, and some of the municipalities, but traditional business and customers, is not taking place. Cash flow also, no one's really paying any bills that have been owed. So it's kind of forced us to go to a cash and carry model right now on anything that we're doing. And just, that's what it's probably going to make us, do. All of these type of things has made us, over the years, have made us stronger. We're about 30 years old business, and we've been through a lot of different types of storms and ups and downs. And this is just one that we have really no control over. For you guys that don't know who we are, it's a Duplicates Copy and Print Center out in Conway. We're a print and marketing firm. And we do a lot of traditional print signage, and now we do digital. We've been doing digital for a while now too, and it's just it's a crazy time right now. So we're trying to keep our staff as busy as we can, but at the same token, we need to look at the continuity and the longevity of the business. So we've kind of cut hours back as much as we can, put our paperwork in to apply for the PPP program. But I don't think that that's moving right now. I don't, it's kind of at a stall, so we were questioning, should we apply at multiple institutions? And I just, nobody could really answer that. And we just found, just before this call, we found an answer to it on Inc. magazine, and I'll post that into the chat for you guys to take a look at. So they suggest to do that.
They do just suggest that you go to multiple banks.
Yeah, I'll get a copy of that for you.
Okay. It's interesting. I applied, well, you couldn't get into Bank of America unless you had an existing checking account with them, which I got rid of a long time ago. And then I guess they reopened it, but I don't see that portal reopen to non-existing customers. And then my bank finally got it up and going on Saturday. And then they messaged me and said, did you apply? And I said, yeah. And they couldn't find the application, but I had a confirmation. So I went back on to apply again, and they had already taken it down because of how many applications they got. They couldn't keep up with it. So they've actually taken down, I don't know how other, what's happening at other banks, but my understanding is like Bank of America gets 60,000 applications on Friday.
That's crazy.
So that feels scary. I don't know how you process 60,000 applications within a time period that's going to be helpful. So anyway, we could talk more about that if people want to talk about that. John, I did have one question for you. Are you doing government work, government contract work?
No government contract work. I mean, we process utility bills for a couple of the municipalities.
Yeah.
So they're still producing those bills, but we don't have like contract, government contract work for stuff outside of the local area.
Well, one piece of advice I got a couple days ago was that government's still going to have money. Schools are still going to have money. That's a big shift for me because hospitality is not, especially hotels. My hotel contracts have dried up because they're really hurting. So I have to think of other industries to focus on, even though hospitality is my sweet spot. So someone said to refocus on government. Just a thought for you. I don't know if you've applied to be a South Carolina vendor.
No, that's a great thought, actually.
It's a pretty easy process. And I can try to look it up and find where I did it, but it's a really easy, fast process to just get you as a vendor of the state. It doesn't mean you have to be a certified business, but you can be a vendor.
No, that's great. Yeah, if you could shoot that to me sometime, that'd be awesome.
Okay, cool. Hey, Sherry.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Excuse me, getting a little hoarse. I think it's still allergy season. I write for South Carolina Woman magazine, so she's in the same predicament as you all. I don't handle the bills anymore, so that's great for me. I do write about restaurants, but that kind of dried up. So when I'm doing to a few of the chefs that have given me recipes and contributed to the magazine, I've reached out to them and I'm doing a column on what chefs cook when they're home.
That's cool.
In the front.
That's cool.
So, but not keep me busy enough, but that's what I've been doing.
Are there other things that you can do beyond restaurants?
I can, but that's my focus. I run the food for thought section.
Right. And this is a time for us to kind of think outside of the box of what we've normally been doing. So even though that's been the focus for you, maybe just to keep yourself out there and busy and top of mind, you look at some other things to write about, like attractions that are closed.
I know it's tough. It's the same. Everything's closed. It's hard.
I know. But this is a good time to be of value because you got nothing else going on, right? So if you can be of value and kind of go outside of the box of what you normally do, that might be something.
Yeah, I'd be stepping on Terry's toes, but I think she would welcome it.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I would ask her first or apologize later. I'm a rebel. I apologize later.
No, if I bring in business, she's happy.
There we go. There we go. Well, right now, bringing in business means staying top of mind for the most part because it's can't necessarily get business in right away.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Allison Hamilton.
Hey, Gina.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I like most people used to in Myrtle Beach had 2 or 3 jobs going. I know a lot of us are without, but I'm a financial advisor, and that's been busy. Been trying to keep people calm down and reassured. Also been privy to some information, trying to listen to some webinars about the PPP and the ERC and all this different stuff. And it's a lot of questions. It's just surrounded by a lot of questions. And then I'm also but with my practice, we have had the ability to use Zoom meeting. And so we have done that. So we're kind of we've been declared essential, so we're coming into the office, but we are doing Zoom meetings we always did them with our out-of-town clients, but with our local clients too now. So that's been nice. And then I'm also teach a course out at Coastal, so I had to move my entire course online for the semester, and I'd been asked if I would teach online, and I said no. And so now my hand's been forced to, and I actually told my professor, my chair in the fall, if I'm able to teach, I would teach online or in a traditional classroom setting. So that's has really forced me to learn more about the computer programs and things that are offered through the university to teach online. So,
Yeah.
and I wanted to give a shout out to you, Gina, for arranging this. And it's taken me, I knew about it for a couple weeks, but I just now got it together on my calendar so I can get the Zoom meeting set up. And I also, Amber, I appreciate your video. That was very informative, and I forwarded that and shared it with my dad too. So I appreciate you going through that and helping us out with that information.
You are very welcome.
Awesome. Yeah, it was great stuff. I love all the contribution happening on the Facebook group and everyone trying to help each other. So that's really cool. And Allison, kudos to you for maybe, I don't know if you calmed me down a couple weeks ago, but we at least took some action to make me feel like, I don't know, I had a lifeline with my funds with you. And I have chosen not to look at them.
Good decision. Very good decision. Thank you, Amber.
That's exactly what I'm telling all of my clients too, is you can't look at it. You can't, I mean, if it were something that were because of a financial disaster, that would be one thing. This is not. This is a natural disaster, basically. And it may take some time. It will take some time, but you're going to get back. You're not ready to retire yet. You have time.
Well, I was just looking for something that made me feel like that if it got really dire, I could access it if I had to.
You definitely can, because there's in the video that I talked about that you could take out $100,000 from your IRA without having to pay penalties on it. And if you had to access it, then you could. But if it turns out that you didn't need all of it, then they're letting you put it back in over 3 years, which is, I've never heard of anything like that before.
Yeah.
So that's kind of giving you some cool options.
Yeah, and Allison was able to kind of just set me up and give me peace of mind that if I needed to move money into my checking account, I had that ability to do it, which just gave me peace of mind.
Good.
Haven't touched it.
Great. Good job.
Let's jump over to Amber. Amber, anything new we should know about?
The EIDL loan is now they're clarifying is up to $10,000, not $10,000. So that's when it first came out, it was a $10,000 basically grant. Now it's up to $10,000. So I don't know anybody who's actually gotten one yet, that's actually seen it come through the pipeline, but it's not necessarily going to be all of the $10,000 that we were hoping it would be. And from what I understand, I still have not been able to find anything other than articles other people have written. I've not found any substantive authority, but they are saying that you can, where at first we didn't think you could apply for unemployment and these loans, a lot of articles are saying that you can. The PPP loans and the grant are to pay business things. And the unemployment is for you to pay your personal expenses. But even I've looked every day, 3 or 4 times a day, and I've looked through, and I could just be missing it. It's tax season and I've got the phone ringing off the hook and everybody's doing this. So I could have just missed it, but I've not seen anything that says that you can, but apparently other people have found it. So just putting that out there.
Well, that's good to know. There is still the confusion around sole proprietor versus self-employed / gig worker / freelancer.
Yeah.
This is a big issue the difference between being able to apply last Friday the 3rd and this Friday the 10th. And even my bank doesn't have clarity around that.
Nobody
And
does yet. That's
Yeah.
why this is so frustrating. It's so frustrating. The only thing I'm telling my clients, if you have, more than one specific business that you file separately on a tax return, or you file 2 separate tax returns, I would do those separately. But if you're a gig worker and maybe you have an eBay business and maybe you do Uber, you're an Uber driver or whatever, do we combine all that into one number? I don't know. There's been no clarity.
That's the $1 million question. With 2 LLCs, I mean, even I think the banks are getting confused on how to talk to you and what to consider you. I've read multiple articles on it, and obviously you're the CPA and you know better on this. But when I looked at it, the difference between the difference between what I've read, sole proprietor is not a legal entity; it's a sole proprietor. However, an LLC can be a sole proprietor. So there's confusion around which category do you fall in from a lending perspective.
Yeah, single member LLC is either going to be a disregarded entity, which is also your sole proprietor, or you can file an S election and now you're an S corporation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have 2 people that are members of an LLC, well, then that's either going to be a partnership, or if you file the S election, it'll be an S corporation. So what I've told people is, how do we file your taxes? Do you have a Schedule C for this one business? And do you have a Schedule C for another business? Then at this point, until they tell us no, I don't see why you couldn't at least apply for both if you have the documentation that you need to support what you're telling them you have.
Yeah.
It's all about keeping good books and records. And if you have one checking account and everything you make goes into that one checking account, you're going to have, I think we're going to find that that's going to be a lot tougher than if you have, a business bank account for business A and a bank account for business B, and then we can actually follow the money.
Yeah, and that's how I'm set up. Again, there's the confusion around, I was trying to help someone else through this who does not have an LLC. He's just himself,
Mm-hmm.
and he files a Schedule C. And he gets 1099. So he's, where does he fall? And last year I was not an S corp. This year I am, which only makes it messier.
Yeah, if it's your first year as an S corp, it's definitely messier. If it's not your first year as an S corp and you've been giving yourself a salary, then it's much cleaner. It's much cleaner. But I have a lot of people who, started their S corp in January. Like, okay, well, we're going to have to look back, and unfortunately, all we can do is make the best guess and move forward with that. We don't know. And I've been looking because I've got people calling me. I've got 7 phone messages I have to return right now to help people figure out how do they apply for their unemployment. And the real answer is, I have no idea.
Yeah, I've applied and been rejected, denied, and they send me a denial letter every day. I don't know why. I mean, one letter would be enough, but I
give you a paper cut and rub some salt in it for you.
Yeah, maybe that's it. It's daily. The other thing, I don't know if anybody else is experiencing, if you are paying commercial rent. I got a letter from the Myrtle Beach Mall stating that I must pay rent on the 15th of April. It's mind-boggling. It is. I get it. Everyone's got bills, but we're not even allowed to access the space. So I actually need to fully go through the lease. And a local realtor saw my post on Facebook, and he actually sent me a really great letter to use to send back out to because he's a landlord, and he said, I got this really great letter. He goes, it was so well written. that they're in this situation. And so, the mall is requesting that we respond by April 10th on our intentions. And I'm like, as soon as you answer me on your intentions of when to reopen the mall, I'll give you my intentions.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you can really do about that. What are they going to do? Evict us?
Can I
And
ask Amber a question?
sure.
So Amber, I've seen Terry Livingston post this, and I think it's just so wrong. Are people asking you to fill out the paperwork and then the bank's refusing to compensate for your time?
I have heard that as well. I am not filling out anybody's paperwork. I'm not an expert. I'm not going to be the reason they don't get whatever it is they're looking for, because we have zero guidance. I mean, we talked about this, 2 weeks ago or a week and a half, whatever, and we still haven't got any additional guidance. But I have heard that is the thing, that the banks are not paying for it. And then of course the individual businesses are not supposed to have to pay for it. Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
What a headache. Let's jump over to Carrie. Hey, Carrie, I'm going to attempt to unmute you. Oh, okay, there we go.
Hey.
Hi.
So we are open. We are an essential business and we support other essential businesses. Now, that being said, as businesses close, we have less and less work. So it's slow, but we're still going.
Yeah. What kind of calls are you getting right now?
Mostly commercial businesses, hotels. We're in Jacksonville today just so that we have a job. But locks, problems with their locks. We have a safe job tomorrow. Access control tomorrow. Also tomorrow where their access control stopped working. We've gotten calls actually from around the state because other locksmiths have closed or shut their doors. And we just can't go that far. Our territory is large anyways. We're not going much farther than our territory.
Yeah. And I know, this is just one thing that comes to my mind, and I don't want to play on fear whatsoever. And I don't know what the answer is to this. Maybe somebody else can collaborate an idea on it. But for you right now, while your business is kind of slow, I think one thing that's going to become more and more important is safety. As things get tougher from a economic standpoint, I can only guess crime's going to go up.
That's what we talked about when my husband suggested this business. I'm like, well, when the economy gets bad, safety becomes more of a concern. So we might be okay. We are going to apply for the PPP. And we're just going to try to get through this, try to keep at least one employee and keep paying them and keep going. It's just slow. It's tough.
Is there anything you can do utilizing the Zoom platform or your chamber membership on how to maybe do some kind of webinar stuff or just educational, just be of value and talk about things that people can be doing in their businesses right now to protect them and keep them safe? This way it's keeping you out there and top of mind.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I have started doing the digital dialogues and that type of thing that's taken place at connections, and talking about some of the newer products that we have, which are antibacterial doorknobs and access control that it's actually a face reader and it detects body temperature. So you can deny access to somebody who has a fever.
Wow.
There's all kinds of new products coming out every day for just this scenario.
Do you write a blog or anything like that?
We are franchised and our corporate office writes the blog.
Okay. Well, maybe that's something. Are you sharing that out?
I do share that.
Okay. Just some thoughts on keeping you out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm big on social media. I try to get on social
You
media.
are. I see you there. Awesome.
And whatever we can do. I mean, it slows down for me because I am the marketing person and I can't do all the marketing that we used to do.
Yeah. Okay, let's jump over to Kathy. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning. Good afternoon, really.
Oh yeah,
12:30.
I
Where
don't
did the
know.
where?
It
I
feels
don't
like
know.
morning.
It's like oh come on. My husband was like, well, I finally got up. It was only like at noon, but I don't care. It's fine. It's like this is like an extended weekend, if you want to call it. My biggest confusion right now is I spoke to my accountant, and one, we don't qualify for the PPP because over the years we have never done the W-2. I mean, years ago, years ago, and working with the accountant, we worked, and it always works out. We are an S corp, and then she said, "Well, you're eligible for the grant," and I'm going, "Yeah, but we don't want to pay back any loans. We just do not." So my whole thing is like, I'm confused. It's like, and she said, "Oh, there's just a little button that you push and say, hi, you're only applying just to get the grant." And I'm going, well, that's all fine and dandy, but and it's like clueless. I'm absolutely clueless. It makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Yeah. So I'm going, well, technically, yeah, business has, I've got 2 clients, 1 paid. I just have to finish the shoot. The other client still owes us like half of it. I've got a couple of things in the pipeline for the summer when it comes to photography, and I am working like a fiend to get my online photography workshops and other creativity and art workshops. I mean, I'm going back through files that I had been doing and teaching for, that I taught eons ago, and going, all right, well, I guess this is the time to, dig it back out again. And then, of course, I got sidelined because my daughter calls me from Los Angeles going, I have this great idea. Will you do a logo for me? Oh God, child. But I know she's in a pickle, and so I will do it. And and I just basically went back through all of my files dating back to archives dating back to 2000. Don't ever tell anybody that I keep all my files like that. But just I told her, I said, give me that creative brief, what you want, just like you would be doing it if you were to go out and hire, somebody on Fiverr or $99logo.com. I said, I need to know everything that you want in this, and the look and the feel. I mean, this is going back to what I used to do, which is graphic design.
Well, I mean, again, it's kind of like whether it's thinking outside of the box or revisiting things that you've done before. I think in this time you have to get out of your own way and the way you've been thinking and the way you've been doing things. And so if that means going back, I mean, it's sort of, I've kind of fallen back on some one-on-one business coaching, which I hadn't been doing in a long time, but you have to look at what the demand is right now and
right.
do it. I still think you should be, I don't know what you're doing, you or Elaine are doing on,
we haven't even connected. But we really do need to. So
yeah, but I'm saying for both of you as photographers doing stock,
yeah, and
stock photos, because people do need to do some marketing, and I want to eventually bounce back over to John to talk about things that we can be doing marketing wise right now.
Right.
Some of the images that you have might be things that you can sell right now to help people.
Right. And I have all of that. It's a matter of it's, I'm eating this elephant one bite at a time is really what I'm doing, because it's just me. I will say for you, Carrie, and several of us know, Donald Hovis. I mean, he's been brilliant when it comes to the marketing. I don't know when he sleeps.
He doesn't.
But I mean, he had somebody doing a video of him doing the Matterport. which is brilliant. And, and volunteering his time to go around to all of the restaurants and all of that other stuff, because what's going to happen when everything comes out when we come out of this, literally, he is going to be the photographer that everybody calls. It's, I'm so he's half my age, so I guess he's got all of that energy in order to do it. I've got a lot of other things. I had somebody tell me the other day that she was like, well, it's great to know that you do all, that you with all of the art, or but she said, I did not know that you did the business photography and focused on all of that. From the time that you were down here, I always thought you were an artist and only doing the art stuff. And I'm going, all right, well, I guess that's just been the message that I had been sending all along moving down here. Everybody, back in Virginia, I was the photographer. I was Donald Hovis back up there. I did all of the events, and I did the volunteering, and I did all of that type of stuff until hubby said, honey, you're going to have a heart attack. I don't want to bury you at 60, please. And that's when we finally came down, and he said, slow down and focus on some of the stuff that you really enjoy. So.
Well, and again, you can pivot too, and you don't have to be Donald Hovis, but you can do other things that are of value that will keep the types of clients you want to work with.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I've been, I get a couple of blogs from some of the personal brand marketing photographers that I follow, and I'm in their Facebook groups and stuff like that. And some of the things that they're putting out are very much like, why are you going to need these photos, when we all come out of this? Why do you need the brand photos? And getting ready to do all of the product photos when you're getting done, and do the product photos correctly. Not, so there's a lot of little things that I'm finding and gleaning from all of that type of stuff. So it's, one bite at a time, and of course learning the video stuff myself and doing it all of that stuff, because I just didn't do it before. So I guess it's called learning by the fire hose method. So
Yep, it's time for us all to just step out of our comfort zone.
There you go. That's what we're
just gotta pivot and improvise.
There you go. So Elena, you and I you have my contact. Let's do this. Let's see how we can, collaborate across the country.
Excellent. Well, let's talk to Elena. Hello, Elena, visiting us from Texas.
Visiting from Texas, that's my home.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting you're up in the Pacific Northwest right now.
Yeah. So it's morning for me. So that's how I appreciate your good morning. Well, I've been taking your word kind of to heart. Your pivot and improvise. Your little motto. So I tried to remember that I was a pathologist once. And been connecting with some of those companies that do the board reviews. And big problem right now is that a lot of the residents, unless they're essential and they're being thrown on the front line to work, or they're working shifts, they have trouble with preparing for their exams, because all of the the pure educational activities, lecturing and all that, have been kind of cut out, because there's so much to do in the hospitals that really all those, there's not that downtime for doing educational activities and helping them with exams. So a lot of people, even the college, CAP, everybody, everything's on online lecturing. Everybody, as they have a minute, they try to go online and do a lecture for the residents to see, there's a way to help them get ready for those board exams. And so now I have a chance. We'll talk this week and next week with one of those organizers. I actually have a chance to teach some pathology classes, which is a little bit outside of what I've been doing. But, you know, I saw it as, hey, this is a great opportunity. One, I can keep my skills. I won't forget everything. So I can actually look under a microscope and figure out what kind of tumor something is. And two, it can bring a little bit of money on the side that
Yep.
while it's not going to be the main thing, it's a little bit of peace of mind of, oh my God, I still have the commercial rent like you know, and all of those things that it's like, oh my God, where am I going to find the money to pay those bills, right? That those moments of, so that's been a positive side. And the other side is a couple of years ago, I put up a stock website, didn't do anything on it other than put the front page on it. And that's it, because I didn't really want to go through the overwhelm or start going through the archive, keyword photographs, and choose what you're going to put out there, put them in the right format and so on. And this past week, I've been kind of trying to start that process, start choosing some images to put on the stock site. And now the big question is, how am I going to market it so that people know it exists? Because of course, everybody that that's looking for an image either Googles or goes up to the big dogs, Getty, and all of those.
Mm-hmm.
So how am I going to get this little stock site under everybody's radar? That's the other question, but at least I did start the process, so I feel better about
Well, that's good. I mean, I think one thing that you can do, which is one of my approaches right now, is just go back to existing clients, right? Like that can start the momentum of conversation, especially for people who don't like to sell or feel salesy. You can contact all your current and past clients and just say, we've talked about this before, check in with them and come from a place of checking in, right? And building the relationship. But just letting them know, that this is what you're working on and this is what's available, and just letting them know about it.
Yeah, and I thought maybe even, reaching out to the local, there's a lot of small towns around here. I'm on the northwest side of Seattle, so a little bit in the suburbs, so to speak. But there's a lot of small towns that have a lot of small businesses that are hurting. So I thought even, reaching out locally, is there anything I can do to help you? Or reaching out to the small chambers of the local towns and saying, this is what I'm doing. Do you think there's anybody that can need this and need help?
Yeah.
And see what comes out.
Yeah, just start utilizing your network. This is a really good time for everybody right now, maybe except for Amber. But for those who find themselves with all this downtime where you're like, oh, I really wanted to work on this and I really wanted to work on that and I really wanted to do some marketing around this. I'm going to call myself out. I've run out of excuses. Like, this is all I can do right now is do marketing and selling. That's it. That's all I can do. There's nothing else for me to do except repackage my training, which is something I'm working on. I'm sorry, Amy's not here today, but Amy is actually Nikowski. I never know how to say her name, but Amy. Amy is going to help me take my training programs, break them into modules, and then have them as products that I can sell that they won't have the improv piece in it, but they'll come with an improv exercise workbook, and just start to reinvent myself that way, and let somebody kind of take that over and create that for me, because it's not my wheelhouse I get allergic to digital stuff. It seems like I'm technically advanced, but I'm not.
Gina,
Yeah.
I've got in my creativity training bag of tricks. It was a book a long time ago that I purchased when I was getting ready to do a lot of my creativity training. I did it corporately, did that. And there's some exercises that are all improv and role playing, et cetera, et cetera. I can kind of share with one of them to you to kind of give you how they did the outlines.
Oh, that'd be great.
Like that.
That'd be awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. Amanda was here with the chamber, but I think she's gone now. I wanted to kind of check in with her on, I know some of the things chamber's working on are going to have some virtual networking events. I think that will be super helpful to keeping people connected, especially the introverts who don't like to go to them in the first place. So hopefully we'll hear more about that. I want to open the dialogue. I know, John, you filled out the survey today. Thank you. I keep the survey going every week just to see where people are and what they need, just kind of an assessment. But one of the things, John, you had talked about in the survey was talking about marketing and continuing to market. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. Yeah. So, I guess right now people don't want to be selly, and do sales, but we're all in that focus of business operation mindset of cutting costs and how we're going to keep our employees and how we're going to do, get any funding or any help from that might be out there, and it just in my experience over the years, it's been like, we've got to, for us, I'm not saying we, for us, duplicates, we're going to move forward with the anticipation of we got to do it on our own with no funding. And if the funding comes, that's great. And with that, after we minimize or cut all expenses, we're going to focus on how we're going to be, we're going to market ourselves as a resource for companies and for individuals on remarketing themselves, like the things that you're talking about, pivoting and rebranding yourself and reinventing yourself, because over the years we get so stuck in we're this type of person, and it's almost like we have tunnel vision of what type of business we're in and what we do. And when something like this happens, it's like you get almost blinded by the lights, right? You don't know what to do, and sitting there and waiting. That's not me. I'm not a sit and wait guy and see what happens, and that. Because over the years doing that, I've failed a lot of times, but I have to do something, right? We have to do something, be it for our team, for our customers, or whatever it might be, for our families. We got to show them not to sit back, and especially my kids, don't sit back and be a victim. Let's be victorious through this and be leaders through this, and show other people that there's a way through it. And it's painful, but this is going to, there's a quote out there about, tough times or times like this bring up the leaders, right? And it's not about the glory or a spotlight on us. It's about, we lead those that can't, out of helping them, not being ego driven, and it's just, that's just where we are, So as far as duplicates is concerned, right now we're telling folks, send out direct mail, right? I mean, because people are looking at their mail. And when I say direct mail, it doesn't need to be a selling type of postcard or something. It needs to be, maybe it's a handwritten note.
I was just going to say that we're all at home. Like I'm overwhelmed with email, frankly.
Yeah. I mean, and a handwritten note will go so much further. Now, do you send it to every single person? No. I mean, send it to as many people as you want. But, you do a handwritten note, and I don't care if you have bad handwriting, or I look like I'm a doctor the way I write. So they probably can't even see what I'm writing. But I'm just letting them know that, hey, thinking of you, we're here for you, and I'm praying for you guys. And send that to top prospects and your current customers. And I think that whole analogy that you had, or acronym that you had about originally a couple weeks ago.
Love. My love acronym that I just came up with.
And just be real and do it from the heart. And this is not me trying to sell someone printing. Go buy blank thank you notes from Office Depot. But branding is important for sure.
I gotta wonder how Send Out Cards is doing right now.
They're doing extremely well.
There you go. Do it like that. Super.
Yeah.
Or literally go, and if you've got photos of your own, print them out, send them, sign your name.
Oh, Kathy, what an idea if you used one of your own photos.
Hello. So,
And then you put, I don't see anywhere on that photo that you're the photographer of that photo.
yeah, I am.
Okay, is it there? Okay, good.
Yeah, it's there, and I have my
Okay, good. Good.
Carrie. You've seen these when I brought them to Costco.
Actually, I sent some to my friends and got a great response.
Thank you.
So, and I send a lot of handwritten notes. I send thank you notes to all of our customers, handwritten.
Good.
That'll come around that really well, you know, because people are curious about you as well. You know, I mean, they, you know, the people that we do business with, you know, obviously they're concerned about themselves first, you know, that priority list. But then they're also they want to know, you know, what's going on with their relationships with their vendors or their business partners out there.
Right.
So letting them know what's up, I think is important. It's just the right business thing to do, the right relationship to have.
I agree.
Kind of round robin. Anybody want to specifically talk about something that's challenging them right now, or they want some feedback or suggestions or collaboration from the group?
How do I apply for that crazy grant?
The EIDL, the emergency injury. It is on the SBA site. I'll go pull that up for you and post it in the group.
It's actually fairly easy. Once she gives you the link, you just have to have some of your numbers and make sure when you're done, you get something like this that has a confirmation number. Otherwise, you haven't finished it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a question though. Since the PPP came out, is the EIDL not, can you not apply for that? I read, you know, you read so much stuff out there. I don't know what's true, what's not, but
You can do both. You can do both. What is unclear completely is if you get the grant and then you get the PPP loan, is part of that grant not going to be rolled into that PPP loan, which might make some of it taxable or not taxable, where you have to pay it back. May not be forgivable. But from what as long as, and I can't stress this enough because we don't know what it is we don't know yet, make sure that if you get the PPP loan, and this is what I'm going to do, open up a separate account for that. If you get the grant check, open up a separate account for that, even if you have to transfer it over from the account that's going to go into immediately, because I really do feel like that they're going to come back and we're going to have to really have all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed with how we spent this money, or we're going to have to pay it back. But from what I understand, you can get both. You can get both, and you can evidently even get unemployment if you're not working.
Yeah.
But you have to let them know that because they don't know that yet. The folks at the DEW don't know that yet.
So I posted that link, Kathy, and everybody. I posted that in the chat, the EIDL application link. It is really easy. I've done it, and I've done it for both of my LLCs. I've also posted in, for those who are in South Carolina, a link to the states, how to become a vendor or just register as a vendor. Because once you're in the system, that helps you with other, you could look at jobs that they're posting.
Yeah. I was actually, I spent like weeks pulling things together. I was a small business woman owned or certified in Virginia, as well as a MDE, minority woman owned for the state of Maryland.
Yeah.
So I'm familiar with it. It's just, I know what a pain in the butt it was.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm willing to pay someone to do my certification. So if anybody knows anybody, Amber's like, not me.
See me, I'm happy to help people in October.
Amber's like, not it.
Not it.
Not it, but I'm putting it out there. If somebody wants to do it for me. It might be way easier now that I have everything pulled together. I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Is having all your stuff together, and now all my stuff is in one location and I know exactly what my numbers are. And I even pushed on getting my my quarterly payroll report done, even though I'm not filing it. At least I know where I stand. I have every possible document.
Come in.
There's not an extension of time to file the return, your payroll tax return.
There's not?
No,
Oh,
no,
I was told there was.
I do not believe so. Now,
Okay.
what you can do is you have an extension of when to pay the employer's portion of the Social Security only, but not the whatever's withheld from your employees, and the return itself have to be done on time.
Okay.
Now, there also may be some credits that come around later to help offset some of that, but all that being said, if you don't want to spend the money right now, but you
it's going to renew into a new 6-year bucket, but there will be next.
Hold on. Okay, I needed to mute Allison. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, if you don't, I mean, if you're worried about, this is something for everybody who has employees, if you're worried about spending the extra money, at least file the return, because that will stop non-filing penalties.
Okay.
And,
All right,
and
that's
they may
good to
come
know.
back later and say, oh yeah, we meant to do this. It was our intention to do this, but they haven't. So the employer's portion of Social Security can be deferred to pay for the rest of the year now. Can be deferred to pay half at the end of 2021 and half at the end of 2022. But the parts you take out and withhold from your employees has to be paid in on time.
Okay, and you have to file on time.
You have to file on time. So important, I mean, it'll save you some, I mean, we're all going to do the best we can, and we can only do what we can do, but at least get the returns filed.
Okay.
And you'll cut off the fees for penalties and for
I'm happy I said something, because the person who I basically had went to her and said, the person doing my books, and I said, hey, can I just get the quarterly report just so I have it for the bank? And she's like, well, you don't need it because it's been extended. I said, well, let's do it anyway, just so I have it.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to call her back.
Yeah, I mean, if she has some guidance that I don't have, I would love to see it, because I've got 50 people I've got to get finished.
Okay.
So if there's some guidance that I haven't seen, I'm all for it.
Okay, good. Thanks. I'm happy that conversation came up.
You're welcome.
So yeah, Kathy, that link is posted, and there's something else I wanted to say.
I already have it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot. There's something else I wanted to say about it, but I can't remember what it was. Anybody else want to jump in with a question or suggestion?
I have a question. If you have a chance to share even like the concepts, couple of sentences, if you don't want to share the whole thing, but that the letter that you said might help with the commercial rental, would be awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I'm working on that. He sent me a PDF of it, and I'm retyping it up today, so I'll send that out.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as government vendors, becoming a government vendor, don't forget about your cities and towns, because they have different vendors to register with those individually.
Good point. Good point. Anybody else? Questions? Comments? Oh, I think what finally came back to me, and Amber could probably talk about this too, back to that whole PPP thing. The thing that kind of flagged me that I sent back to the bank was that on the PPP loan, 75% of it has to go to payroll. And of payroll cannot be considered owner distribution or 1099 employees.
This is where I think it's going to be important. And again, guidance would be good here. But this is where I think Kathy may be out of luck, because she had an S corporation but didn't pay herself a wage. So if you have, if you paid yourself some type of wage that's consistent, I would expect them to take that in the interim. What was the rest of the question? I'm sorry.
Well, it's the confusion over the fact that 75% of the loan has to be used for payroll, but payroll is not considered owner distribution or the 1099 contractors that you
Gotcha.
pay.
Thank you. It's definitely not the 1099. So if you have somebody that you pay in the form of a 1099, there you don't get any benefit of that. They, however, can do
Apply.
it on their own.
Right.
So now the problem there is did you just lose your staff? You know, the people who do the work that gets you money, because if they can apply on their own and don't have to get out in this craziness in this world, then they may do that and not actually do the work you need them to do. So,
Yeah.
but that is apparently what I've read more up on is the grant. You know, you pay the rent. You can use the money to pay your rents as well. But the grant can also help pay some of those rents. As long as you're paying what you're supposed to out of the PPP, the grants can help you with some of that rent as well. And that is allowable ways to spend that money.
Which I think that's the benefit of applying for both.
Me too.
Then you kind of divide and conquer how you use each one of them.
And I gotta say, and Allison will have an opinion on this, I'm sure. As a financial person, okay, there's a couple of things that come to mind. And I know you guys are all business owners, you've probably had similar thoughts, and I'm not talking to my clients, I'm talking to you guys, okay? Do you throw good money after bad? What that means, if you feel strongly that even with all of this help, that you're not going to survive this, then don't get the loans. Don't put yourself into a position that you're going to end up being responsible for something later that you were going to go out of business anyway. You weren't going to survive it anyway. So that's kind of a hard thing to say, and I would never say that quite so bluntly to my clients, but that's something we got to think about. And the next one is, okay, if you know that you're going to survive it if you have this money, but you also know that you're not going to be able to spend it all for 75% or whatever in wages. Do you still get it and just pay it back? You know, I mean,
that's actually something I was going to bring up because the way my brain works, I'm like strategically.
See, you and me, baby.
Strategically at a lesser percentage rate.
Yeah, because it will, from what the guidance says right now, if you pay back, if you, let's say 60% of what you, or 85% of what you do is, no, backwards the other way. 60% is payroll and you use the other 40% for rents and utilities. Well, then you're still only going to have to pay back what they say now, the amount over that 75%. So
right.
Still, when you're looking at a way of funding your business, especially if you can see yourself on the other side of it, I don't know of a cheaper way to do it.
Well, that really is where my head is, because my head, this hit me yesterday. I'm like, there is a fractional COO that I've been wanting to bring on board to take over operations of and streamlining all of our training programs. And I literally created the list of everything that happens in the business. Mm-hmm. And of those 10 things that happen, I only want to be doing 2 of them, which is selling and facilitating. But I need someone to do everything else, but I haven't been able to afford her. And I'm like, you know what? This would be the perfect opportunity to get the funding I need to invest, to grow, and to scale the business. And if I can get it at a much lower rate than putting it on my credit card.
Now, I will caution you, everybody, you got to answer the questions on the application 100% truthfully. So that will determine if you get the amount of money you need that's really going to help or not. But yeah, I mean, if you're in, I guess the biggest point that I'm trying to make is that it's an inexpensive way to finance something, to do what you're talking about. Even if you do have to pay it back over time.
Yeah.
And if you're not, like, I've got a couple of clients of mine who are very likely not going to survive this. They're just not.
Yeah.
And as sad as that is, it's not in their best interest to get, you know, a $40,000 PPP loan and then have to pay that back when
Yeah.
their business is
Yeah.
defunct. So.
Really good point. But yeah, I have some strategic plans for, because I was already in the process of scaling the business and I just was running low on funds to pay people to do some things.
Well, there you go. And that's also what the grant is supposed to do as well, though.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's kind of a combination of things to keep you going. So I'm not saying we're going to do anything shady or tricky. We're going to make sure we apply 100% truthfully.
Right.
But if it happens that you need to spend that money on something else, is that really the worst thing in the world on the other side of this?
No, because again, it's economic. It's contributing to the economy to keep things going. So if I can hire a couple other freelancers to help boost the business, then that helps everybody.
Yeah.
Anybody else? We're at the 1 o'clock hour. Anybody else have a question or something that they need help around? Okay. So I will continue the link. The Zoom link is going to be the same each week, but because of all this, like people bombing into Zoom calls, I'm just being really careful of not putting it public. But I have everyone here. I have everyone's email address, I think. I'm pretty sure. And I'm going to kind of just every week send out a reminder email that says, don't forget, here's the link, because I usually, like by 11:30, I'm not looking at email or on Facebook to like hear the plea of where's the link. So I'll just make sure that you guys all get the link again, but it will be the same link as this one. I'm just not putting it out publicly. Okay. Thank you guys for being here. Let's have a really awesome week. John, let's message each other to set up some time to talk about some of the other stuff you had mentioned to me. All right. All right, everybody, go crush your week.
Everybody.
Bye.
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 Bye.